of my heart. I can't say no. It's ripping me apart.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Trip out here, and today I kind of have a little bit of a different video, and that is because I came across some video today where it was saying basically that you should custom build a PC rather than getting a laptop for college, or what he meant was a gaming laptop, because of these benefits and this, and why laptops are worse for college and such. And I'm kind of gonna go over a few of those things. I am completely on his side, okay? I definitely like desktops way better than laptops. I think everything about them is better, although, you know, laptops do have their little things that, you know, obviously are better, like very portable. Like, that's huge. That's definitely way better than the desktop, where it's not portable at all. But then again, I'm still a desktop fan. I am not denying that at all. However, for his video where he said that getting a computer desktop is better than getting a laptop for college that is able to play video games, so essentially what he's saying is what's better for gaming with price and what you're doing, and in his case this was college. So by that, you know, he said that desktops is the way to go, and you would have a little bit of money left to get your laptop. Now, while I totally agree with the desktop being better for workspace and everything, he points out that if he were to build this desktop, you can fit it in your, what his was, $1,000 budget, $1,000 budget, where it's a little more than $1,000, and he doesn't really show that in the video. I don't know if he left out some things, or maybe he's not experienced. But it's definitely something that people have come across if they're new to this, because you're obviously not going to know what you're doing your first time, and I don't know if it was his first and maybe second time. I've built probably 6-7 computers. I study these things. I'm literally all over computers. It's like, that's my thing. Like, I may not be huge in sports, but if anything, I am huge in computers. Now, in his video, he claims that building his computer, and I have it written down here, is $863 you can build his computer for. Now, that's not exactly true. He says that building this computer for $860 will leave you with enough money to buy a Chromebook, which would be your daily tasks, like emails, writing stuff down in class, you know, your kind of basic stuff, and then you can go back to your dorm or your room, whatever you got, your apartment, and you can use your gaming PC there. Now, he says that this is definitely worth it, because instead of using your $1,000 on one thing, you split it and make it $800 and $200 to get two separate things, to make it, you know, a better kind of situation, or something more, you know, fitting for what you're doing, I guess is what I'm trying to go out here. And really, that's not the case, because with this $1,000 budget, he says $863 goes to the PC. And I'm looking over here because I keep checking the price to make sure. He left out a few things. Now, these few things he left out were the monitor. You need a monitor to use that desktop computer. You can't just buy a desktop and have it work. If your argument is that you know, connect it to your TV, which is going to have input lag if you're, you know, playing video games, unless you have some high-end PC that can deal with that, I don't think that's your best bet. And on top of that, that would include to your price that you'd never even said. Next is, you could get a $70 monitor with 5 ms. I found one on Walmart, as you can see on the screen right now, and that doesn't even tell you how many hertz the monitor is. So it could, there could be some stuff like not that good with the monitor that you don't want. Realistically, if you want to get a good monitor that works for gaming, it's not bad, not great, it's just, you know, an average good monitor, you won't even really notice anything wrong with it. It's probably going to be about $115, $120, maybe a little less, maybe $90 if you're lucky, if you find a good one. Another thing he left out was Windows 10. He never put any sort of operating system in there. I mean, you can go with Linux, but Linux is shit. Windows 10, or maybe you want Windows 8 or 7, but anyways, most Windows are about $100 if you want a 64-bit, and you definitely want 64-bit if it's for gaming, because you did describe in the video that RAM can be upgraded later. So he said a standard amount of 8 gigabytes of RAM, and if you only had a 32-bit Windows, which is about $90, that gigabytes of RAM could not be upgraded unless you upgraded your Windows as well, because 32-bit Windows only supports 8 gigabytes of RAM. The final thing that you left out, which is huge, and I don't know if you expected that someone already had this, but if we're talking about a budget, $1,000 starting from nothing, which could be a lot of people's cases, because when you're going into college, it seems like a huge change. And although I'm a junior in high school, I definitely know that going to college is massive. Now, let's pretend they're at ground zero and they have nothing. They have no monitor, they have no keyboard, no mouse. They literally have nothing. They're just with $1,000, and that's what they're wanting to do. Well, they need the keyboard and mouse too. Now, a keyboard and mouse, that ranges from anything. I found a keyboard and mouse for about $35 together. It was a gaming keyboard and mouse, but obviously that's not really the high-end ones. It's just kind of a get starter kit, I would say. Lots of people use Razer keyboards, Razer mice, maybe Corsair, Logitech. Those are all pretty big name brands. My personal favorite is Razer, not because of the, brand. I've literally owned everything. I have an old Logitech keyboard, I have a Corsair K70, I have owned a Razer, not Chroma, but Black Widow 2013 Ultimate, and currently I am using the Chroma X, and that is by far my favorite. Now, for you college people, like I said, I'm not in college, but I definitely know what I'm talking about when it comes to computers. Getting a laptop for college is your best way to go. If you are a gamer and you are going to college, starting up in what, a week now? Maybe it already started for you and you're still trying to figure this out. Hopefully you did not take his video as your primary source for what you want yet, because I think that, you kind of want to hear both sides of the story. And personally, this is what I would do if I was going in with a $1,000 budget into college. Maybe you have a little less, maybe you have a little more, but if we're talking about a $1,000 budget, like his video says, this is what I would do. A laptop my brother owns is the Dell 15.6-inch gaming laptop, 6th gen, Intel quad-core i5, 6300 HQ processor with 3.2 gigahertz. Now, he has a 256 gigabyte SSD. That's not a lot of room, but that's an SSD, which means you can always get an external. The SSD is really for Windows and boot up speed. So, I mean, a simple external could cost you about $50. But really, if you're in college, I'm assuming you're going to be doing more studying rather than gaming, and you're not going to need a huge hard drive for all that gaming. The graphics card is a 960 modular, and it has Windows 10. For the price of $780. Now, that leaves us with a little bit of room. We have leftover money now. He claims that it is hard to work with the little space the laptop gives you for productivity. Maybe you're editing or doing some Photoshop, even video games. It's not as fun to play on a smaller screen. I know, I've been there. I've been on vacation and used my laptop. I own a Razer Blade laptop. We will get to that in a little bit, and I'll explain why when he showed the Razer Blade's price on there, why that wasn't really the best choice. Basically, if we have only spent $780, we have plenty of leftover money, which means you can buy a new mouse, which you're gonna need for gaming. You can buy a cheap mouse, you could buy a gaming mouse, and that's also gonna leave you room for a monitor, which you'd want for maybe at your dorm or your apartment, like I explained earlier. Maybe you have a dedicated spot for that, and then you just pull out the laptop, hook up a $15, $10 HDMI to the monitor, and there you go. You look like you have a desktop all of a sudden. Okay, it's the same thing. This thing can clock very, very high FPS. Easily 120 FPS on most of the games I've played on it. It is very good. With that 960 modular, although it's not as strong as the normal 960, it definitely has its kick. Now, for a brand new Razer Blade, quoted the new Razer Blade on their website, it does start at $2,000. Now, I know that's a huge number. However, what you're getting out of that laptop is a lot more than the other laptops, and also very unnecessary, and it's more preference. Maybe you like the name brand kind of stuff. That's really for people that have no more money. But at the same time, you could still get a Razer Blade for about $1,200 to $1,400, which is higher, but you know, that's just an alternative if you have more money, because I've already explained the cheaper laptop route you can take, which literally can clock about the same speed as the Razer Blade. However, the Razer Blade has its benefits. With the Dell I showed you guys earlier, it is not touchscreen. It's also not a 4K resolution. It is 1920 by 1080. With the Razer Blade, you are getting a 4K resolution, and it is also touchscreen. I know touchscreen's not a huge thing, but it is an added benefit, and also shows why it's a little more money. And if I am correct, $863 plus $170 is $1,033, which is over your price limit. Now, it may seem like I'm kind of trying to go out this other YouTuber for saying all this, and that's not what it is at all. It's just, I think it was a lack of knowledge, or maybe it was a misunderstanding, or something, you know, that maybe he didn't intentionally try to do. Maybe it was for the views, who knows. YouTubers do things all the time, such as clickbaits and all that, you know, that stuff. However, this video is strictly to show you guys that a laptop for college that you also want for gaming on the go is definitely a better choice for a budget. Now, if you want to buy a laptop and a desktop, you have that kind of money, go for it. Or if you want to buy a laptop and build a desktop, go for it. I recommend that if you have the money. But I definitely would say get a laptop that is built for gaming rather than buying a desktop and buying a low-end laptop. Now, like we said, on our budget, with all that being said, what you're getting for a striking $963, which is less than our starting price, you are getting your gaming laptop that can really run pretty much any game, unless you're talking like the top of the notch high-end games, ultra settings, you know, that sort of thing. But with high settings, you can run everything. You're getting a mouse and a monitor. Maybe not the best mouse and monitor, but they're definitely gonna do for a budget. And obviously you can get something new later on. That's no big deal if you decide to save up the money. So for $963, you are getting a great gaming computer. All the specs and the links and stuff will be down in the description. You are getting a mouse that is, you know, meant for gaming. It's not a high-end brand. It's not a known brand. It's really one of the no-namers, but I have done my research on it, and it is indeed a good enough mouse to do what you need to do. And you get your monitor, which is 5ms, 1920 by 1080. Definitely gets the job done. I have played with 5ms monitors before, and there's not a huge difference from a 2ms, maybe a 1ms, but it will get the job done. So let's just say you had a long day at college, right? And you know, you're like really like wishing you had that desktop. Now you just hook up that, you know, your laptop to that monitor, and since you know you have about $40 left, I mean, if you don't have an HDMI port already, it's gonna be like $10, and that leaves you with like $30 left from your original budget. Now, you have a monitor, you have that laptop, you connect the mouse in, you connect the HDMI in, plug it into the monitor, you're set to go. And on top of that, what he did not mention is, if that motherboard that he showed does not have LAN in it, you will also have to buy a Wi-Fi adapter, which could cost around $50 unless you have Ethernet. If this did help you guys or clear anything up or kind of show you that getting a gaming laptop for college is probably the better way to go if you know how to spend the money right, definitely leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new, so that I can definitely see like if this is kind of bringing in another crowd. I'd love to have a crowd I could talk to about computers. It's one of my favorite things to do as a hobby. I love computers altogether. And definitely leave a comment if you have any more questions or concerns. I'm literally reading my comments all the time, so I will be very fast to respond. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.